baby and the fibroid could just play and be friends. You absolutely can get pregnant with fibroids. That is one of the myths that is out there, that you have fibroids, you cannot have a successful pregnancy. You absolutely can. Unfortunately, what we cannot do is predict what will happen with those fibroids while you're pregnant. They can affect the baby and the way the baby grows. It can cause the baby to be small. It can affect actually your labor process. It can cause preterm labor and preterm delivery. Or you can have a beautiful, normal, healthy, unscathed, unbothered pregnancy, and the baby and the fibroid could just play and be friends. But you definitely can get pregnant with fibroids.
I love that you said that. So in my case, when I was pregnant with my daughter, she developed a condition called fetal growth restriction because the fibroids were literally siphoning off her blood supply, pulling the blood supply away from her. And I mean, they told me that the pregnancy wasn't going to be viable and I might want to consider terminating. 5 weeks later, we got hospitalized. I was hospitalized because the condition had even worsened. She pressed her way. She's a fighter. And she surprised them all, by God's grace. But she was only 2.5 pounds, even though she was gestationally between 32 and 33 weeks. So she really should have been more like about a 6-pound baby, right? But she was only 2.5 pounds because she was growing so small, because the fibroids were literally siphoning off, taking away the blood supply and growing from it. So that was my case. So I want women to understand that diagnosis does not mean you cannot have babies, but location and what you're doing and how you're responding to it is all critical in terms of how it will show up in your experience.
Every fibroid does not need a drastic intervention. Mainly the location and the symptoms will decide if they do need some type of intervention. And the fibroids that I typically always recommend to have removed is a submucosal fibroid or a fibroid that's in the cavity. Even if it's quote unquote asymptomatic, meaning that you're not having symptoms that you are aware of, but infertility is sometimes silent. You just don't know what's going on, why you haven't conceived. And when you're diagnosed with a submucosal fibroid, it should be removed. And if you're planning to have a pregnancy, even if you don't have any symptoms, it might be something that you get removed early while you still can have a surgical intervention, or maybe a lifestyle intervention where the fibroid is so small that can be a relevant treatment option. But when you get a watermelon, you got to do something else, and it's usually more drastic.
I want to just interject one more thing to tag along what you said. I think that every Black woman having fibroids and pregnant really should be considered high risk, period, and demand, because unfortunately there are women who they're just being treated like it's normal and everything's okay. And then complications can occur because they weren't being watched the way you were just talking about. So, advocating for yourself and say, listen, I need an aggressive plan. I need to be aggressively followed and to be considered as a high risk pregnancy.
Absolutely.